Good evening. A Nottingham imam has welcomed government plans to crack down on violent disorder in towns and cities across the UK. Dr. Musharraf Hussain was speaking after 15 people were arrested during anti-migrant protests in the city over the weekend.
Meanwhile, Nottinghamshire's Deputy Chief Constable has praised his officers for their resilience and professionalism in ensuring the protests were largely peaceful. Phil Brewster reports.
Emotions were running high as two groups of protesters confronted each other in Nottingham's Old Market Square on Saturday. For several hours, protesters branded as far-right and anti-racism protesters faced off. Separated by a line of police, many traded verbal insults, while officers worked hard to calm tensions. Among those following events in the city was Dr. Musharraf Hussain, an imam at the Karamir Institute at Bobbers Mill in Nottingham. He says some in the Muslim community feel terrorised by the protests, but believes it's a small minority of people trying to drive a wedge between communities.
Our country knows how to deal with extremists, racists, and this kind of riots are really a sign that something wrong has gone on amongst some extremists and a small number of people who have been influenced by what I would say demonization of the Muslim community in Britain, both by media, but more so by so-called think tanks.
There's been a wave of violence in towns and cities across the UK since 3 young girls were stabbed to death in Southport a week ago. Apart from several missiles being thrown, the protest in Nottingham was largely free of violence, but police did have to break up several scuffles as some individuals tried to get at each other. Despite the current volatile atmosphere, Dr. Hussain says it's important to let police deal with the situation and not to retaliate.
Our message has been one of, not to engage with this. And in fact, on social media, I have read and seen people reacting to it, but actually being very composed about it and feeling reassured that, we won't have riots as we had in the past, because I think we'll be able to control them.
On Saturday, Nottingham's 3 Labour MPs issued a joint statement condemning what they described as far-right groups using the killing of 3 children to further their racist agenda. But Dr. Hussain also had this message.
We should really be engaging with the wider community to show them, look, we Muslims are really not to be feared. We're actually citizens like anyone else. We have the same needs and same aspirations as anyone else.
Despite 15 arrests, Nottinghamshire's Deputy Chief Constable said the vast majority of people who attended the protests did so in a peaceful manner. He also thanked officers and staff who policed the event for their resilience, professionalism and skill. Phil Brewster, ITV News.